I've had a lot of requests lately to put together a start to finish comprehensive guide on mining, specifically around the AMD graphics cards. Your 470 480s, 570 580s, Vega 56, 64, FEs. So I'm going to try and be as comprehensive as possible and cover as much ground as I possibly can and think of this kind of like a masterclass. Although a lot of the principles that I use will apply to other cards and other programs, other mining programs, there will be some small differences. But you're going to find that 95% of this stuff is the same when you apply this to other programs, other coins. So if you find this material helpful, educational, or you just appreciate the fact that I've spent a bunch of time putting this together, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and click the notification bell. Let's get to it. So let's go to Device Manager. Our test bed today is two Vega 56s, as I said. You can see that the rig currently has two Microsoft Basic display adapters, basically, which means I don't have any drivers loaded. This is the onboard graphics. So the remainder of this rig is pretty simple. 4 gigs of DDR4 memory, the cheapest SSD I could find, 120 gigabytes, and the processor is an Intel G3900. Again, cheapest processor I could find. Alright guys, so all of the drivers have been uninstalled. All of the programs, all of the mining programs have been uninstalled. For this particular demonstration, and it doesn't matter, and you will see that it doesn't really matter, the core of setting up a mining rig, whether it's Vegas or RX 470 480s, 570 580s, is all the same. The premise is all the same. But for this particular instance, we're going to use Graft, which is a Monero forked coin, and we're going to set it up. But you're going to see that the miner that we use, Cast XMR, you're going to see the MSI Afterburner that we use to overclock and undervolt the cards. You're going to see the Powerplay Tables that we use. The premise, the ideas, the settings, everything behind it is 95% the same. The only thing that I'm going to show you how to do is on the Graft network, how to download their particular wallet. When it comes to the coin that you want to mine, you'll need to be able to go in and research and find where to download the wallet of the coin of your choice, and then input the wallet address and then the mining pool into the configuration file, and that's it. The program that we're going to use mines multiple coins, so it doesn't really matter what coin we're going to mine as long as I show you step by step how to set the miner up from scratch. Okay, so at this point you're going to insert whichever wallet of the coin that you want to mine. If you've already done this, great. You can skip this section, or you can follow along and see if you can pick up something if this is a new coin for you. So Graft has a Windows wallet that I saw was in beta, and then it was removed. The stuff that I've seen online was a little sketchy. So I would strongly recommend only using, at this time, the wallets that Graft themselves on their website recommend. So for the Graft official wallets, you can go to the iOS store or the Android store. This particular example that we're going to be using is off an iOS device. Now, all of them are the same. I've used one on Android and one now on an iOS device, and they look exactly the same. So you're going to download your wallet from whatever store for whatever device that you have. And once you open it up, you're going to come to a screen like this. Go ahead and click through and go to the next screen. So on the next screen, you're going to see mainnet, public testnet, and public RTA testnet. We don't want to be on any of the testnets. We want this to be an online wallet on the main net. So click mainnet and click confirm. Please create a strong password. No monkey, no monkey123, or anything that's easily cracked. So make yourself a strong password, and I strongly recommend making it difficult enough that you need to write it down. So I would strongly recommend writing this down on a sheet of paper, put it in your lockbox, put it somewhere you know it's safe, but only you have the written down password. So on to the next screen. This is where you have created your wallet, and it's going to give you your wallet address. Now this is pretty important. You want to copy this to your clipboard because we're going to need this later on in the video. And again, guys, just about every one of your wallets work in a similar fashion. So although I'm showing Graft, this could be Monero, this could be ETN. A lot of the GUI-based wallets work in the same fashion, or at least the setup is very similar. And if you read through it, it's really not that difficult. So don't get intimidated. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and download all the drivers and programs that we're going to need to download. Don't worry, I'm going to put all of the links to everything that we download in the description below. All right, so the first one, just because it's already open, let's download the MSI Afterburner. You're going to click on this button. Now, I've went ahead and downloaded it before. But I'm going to go ahead and click download again. On the larger files, since I've already downloaded them prior to doing the stream, I'm not going to download them. I'm just going to show you where to download them at. All right. AMD Drivers. And these are the Radeon drivers. This is not the blockchain driver. All right. As you can see, Radeon RX Vega series. If you've got a 500 series card, 57580 or 47480, here are your drivers. We are on Windows 10. So click on 64-bit. And no thank you, AMD. All right. You can see Radeon software 18.4.1 as of 4/30/2018. You can go ahead and click download. The next one is the Cast XMR Miner that will mine any of the Monero forked coins, including Monero, version 7, and all of the other older variants. So, Cast XMR 1.0.0. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the description. This is to Vega Mining Guides, which is a very, very good information source. If you click on the soft Powerplay Tables, you're going to see a link to the 1100 megahertz HBM 905 millivolt Powerplay Table. All right, so if you click on it, it's going to open up this page. And this is your Powerplay Table. Now, what the Powerplay Table does is it goes into the registry and changes the settings of the card. And the main benefit of using this in our application on mining is to undervolt the cards. Now it does set the clock settings, but we're going to change the clock settings on the memory and the GPU processor independently of what this Powerplay table has them set at. Now, there are Powerplay table editors out there, and I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. It's a little out of scope, and it's much easier for a guy or a gal that is just starting out in mining to do the drop and drag and click and play. So I'm not going to get into any stuff that's too in-depth in this tutorial, but I do want to make it very comprehensive. Just don't want to get too far out of scope. If you are interested, you can just do a Google search and find those Powerplay table editors. There's GUI form that's actually fairly simple. If you were to use those, you would have to use an individual Powerplay table for each one of your cards, more than likely, because not every one of your cards is going to run at the exact same frequency and be stable. One of the things that I want to show you through the course of this video is how to set your rig up so that it is stable and that you don't have to come back and fiddle with it and play with settings time and time again, which adds to frustration, lots of time behind the keyboard. And if you set it up right the first time, there's going to be very little changes that you have to make long run. You may find out that you have a card that doesn't like to play as well as some of the other cards, so you might have to go back and make some small changes to the settings. I will show you through the course of this video how to make your rig stable, and trust me, I've got hundreds of hours in researching, messing with settings, and the whole point behind this is for me to pass along what I've learned, mainly through trial and error, to you, and hopefully make your life easier in the process. Alright, so let's go down to downloads. Let's see what we got. Alright, so you see you've got two of the MSI Afterburners. I'm going to go ahead and delete that just so it's a little cleaner on the page. So the four things that we downloaded were the Windows 10 64-bit Radeon software Adrenaline settings, save contents as 1100 megahertz, that is the Powerplay table, text, an MSI Afterburner, and Cast XMR Vega 64. So I know I missed this one part, so let me go back to it. You just want to download this, okay? Now we're going to make the needed changes to this file, so you can't leave it as a text file, but just go ahead and click download, and this is the result, okay? It just comes in as a text file, saves it as a text file, but we are going to have to edit that later in the video. Alright, so all of these files that we've downloaded are very important to what we're going to do when we set up our miner. But with that said, there is a specific order that you kind of need to follow. You can go ahead and install MSI Afterburner, the Cast XMR program, if you wanted to before the drivers. But you can't install the Powerplay tables until after the drivers have been loaded, because the registry has not been populated with the new drivers. So we're going to go ahead, for one reason, and I'll go ahead and share that with you, go ahead and install these Windows 64 Radeon software Adrenaline Edition drivers. When the cards are connected to the motherboard and do not have a driver installed, the fans are running at a minimum RPM. I believe it's about 500 RPM. I could be wrong. But generally speaking, the cards will run a little bit warm without a driver installed. So I don't like to overheat the cards any more than I have to. So let's go ahead and get the driver installed so the fans can operate normally. So double click that. It may take a minute to open. And that shows me a good point. Let's look at user. Type in user. Put change user account control settings. Now, if this is a dedicated miner, there's a couple schools of thought here. You can change this all the way down here and put never notify me when. And you will not get any of these messages anymore. They don't really bother me, and the reason why the stock or the factory setting from when you load Windows is notify me only when apps try to make changes to my computer. That's kind of from a security standpoint, the computer's a little safer like that. If someone's trying to maliciously get into the computer and make changes, this is basically a warning for you. Back when Windows Vista came out, every single time you tried to do anything, it would give you a user account control message, which got rather annoying. If you want to change this, that's up to you. That's not the recommended setting. This is not the recommended setting from Windows, but since this is a dedicated miner, I don't access my bank account. I don't do, I don't have my wallet on here. I have my public address, which I'll show you in a few moments, but I do not have anything that would compromise my personal information on this device. So it doesn't really bother me. If somebody's going to get in and do something malicious, there's not really a whole lot that they can do as far as pull information off of my computer that may harm me. So that is the area that you can go and change this user account control setting. Okay, so it doesn't bother me. I'm just going to press OK. All right, and I'm going to click OK or yes. It's going to come up, and you're going to see the driver 18.4.1, and you're going to click install. Now this is going to take just a couple minutes, so I'm going to pause the recording and come right back. All right, so we're back. So the installer package has extracted all the relevant files and opened up this screen. All right, so I do not want to help us to improve the quality, reliability, and performance of AMD software. So I'm not going to check that. They have enough testers out there. They don't need my help. You can check that if you'd like. It's just not something I'm interested in. Click accept and install. All right. So right now what's happening is the installer package is looking for the AMD cards. It's found it. Radeon, your graphics cards await. Card awaits. Can't talk. All right. So very important here. Express install or custom install. Always do custom install. All right. So you're not going to need, since this is a dedicated miner. Now, if you're running this off of a computer that maybe you're doing work on, or a video game computer or entertainment computer, you might want to leave this stuff enabled. But since we're just doing a dedicated miner, I'm going to click the AMD problem report wizard off. And I do not need the HDMI audio drivers. The only thing that I need is the AMD display driver and the AMD settings. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the settings on there in case we need to get into Wattman or anything like that for demonstrative purposes. But since I'm going to be using MSI Afterburner, probably not going to be using Wattman or the AMD settings. But after you have unchecked the HDMI audio driver and the AMD problem report wizard, you're going to click install. Now, this is going to take a few minutes. I'll pause in just a moment while it's loading the drivers. But in the meantime, if you're in close proximity to the rig, this rig I am managing remotely, and it's about 40 feet away from me in my mining shed, in my mining farm. But if you were close to it, you might hear the cards change fan speeds and the lights, the LED tack lights, might light up, might make different noises, things like that. That's normal. Don't worry about it. Nothing's wrong. It's just going through the process of installing the drivers. All right, so I will come back as soon as this is loaded. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, we're back. Now it's asking if I want to add the Relive software. I do not. Skip. Now it says Radeon 18.4.1 has been installed. I do not want to keep the system up to date, so I will not check that. As soon as I close this, it's going to open up a new tab, and it's going to take me to this page. Don't have to do anything here. So I just close it back out. All right, and now if we go to Device Manager and look at display adapters, you now see, instead of the basic display adapters from the beginning of the video, now says Radeon RX Vega. You can see that the device is working properly. You can look at the driver. You can look at the driver date. Okay, so it does look like the driver loaded successfully. Now, in most circumstances, you would want to reboot your rig or reboot your computer if you're doing video games or graphic rendering or anything else, right? So that we do not want to do that right now, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So we're going to go ahead and close that out. And we're going to type in reg edit and hit enter. User account control. Am I sure I want to look at it? Yeah, well, why not? All right. So let's go back here to downloads. And if I double click this guy, double left click, I can see H key local machine, system, current control set, control, class, and then this long string of numbers with this 4 digits that is very important that I'll show you in just a moment. Basically what this is the location within the registry that you want to place this file. Okay? So we'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and minimize that. So if you look, this is the same string when it's brought up, registry edit is brought up for the first time. Since I've already been in here, Windows recognizes that I've already been in here, and it opens up the last place that I was at. If you're doing this for the first time, you will not see it like that. You're going to have to follow this string, H key local machine. So you can see H key local machine, system, current control set, control, class. And then you would need to look for this string. All right. So let's minimize this guy right here. scroll down, and what we're going to look for is when you find the 4D36E968, this is the correct location. You're going to find the onboard video driver. You're also going to find the AMD drivers. The way you tell the difference is you can probably see the difference already. If I scroll down through here, since I have an Intel processor in this machine, I don't see AMD anywhere. And this is going to look vastly different than the AMD driver registry location. All right, so I don't see anything in here about an AMD card. So I'm going to go ahead and click the next one. All right, so we go down through here, we scroll down through here. Driver store, yeah, I don't see anything, don't see anything. Up, right there. Program files, AMD, ATIK, MDAG. All right, so this looks like it has something to do with an AMD card. All right, so I'm going to scroll down, and there it is. Radeon RX Vega. So a couple things that we need to do here, folks. Remember how I said you didn't want to reboot quite yet? We want to go ahead and load the Powerplay tables, and we want to go ahead and change 2 settings in this registry so that when we reboot the machine, the AMD Crossfire and ULPS does not come back up, does not automatically enable itself, which we do not want to happen for mining. If you were running multiple cards in a rendering machine or a video game machine, there are certain advantages to using Crossfire for AMD cards, but since we are mining, that will negatively impact our mining results. So basically, this is binary. All right, so 0 and 1. If I double click this, enable Crossfire Autolink, we're going to see has a 1. We want to change this to 0. 1 for on, 0 for off. Now watch. I'm going to click it, and now the 1 has changed to a 0. So we're going to go to the one under it, and we're going to do the same thing here. Change that 1 to a 0. That's okay. And as you can see, it has changed. All right, so that's all for this particular one. So this is one of my cards. I don't know which one it is yet. You're going to find that the cards may not line up in the registry the way you think they do. Even if you put them on risers in a specific order, when it loads the drivers, it generally doesn't load them in the configuration that you think it does. All right, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. So we're going to look at number 2. We're going to look down through here, look for our AMD. Yep, there it is, Radeon Vega, so that must be the second card. So let's go ahead and double click that, press 0, okay. Enable ULPS, 0, okay. All right, so what we are going to do is close this. Before we do, we want to take note. 0000 is the Intel graphics driver. Okay, we don't want to adjust anything in there. If we do mess up some settings, if you do change the wrong thing, it is a possibility that you're going to mess the driver up. Okay, so it is imperative that you look for the correct things. Enable Crossfire Autolink and enable ULPS. That is the only thing that you want to mess with in here at this moment. Okay, so 0001 and 0002 are the 2 locations that we want to send the Powerplay tables to. We want to open our Powerplay table back up. And remember, this is text right now. This is very important what I'm fixing to show you. So you can see the 0001 and 0002 that we want to place this Powerplay table into. Remember, this Powerplay table is to change the overclock settings and the undervolt settings. The undervolt settings, which I'll describe a little bit more in detail later in the video, at this time you can only adjust the lower power states, which I will explain later, the lower power states by use of the Powerplay table. All right, this is going to cut your power consumption down incredibly. I run 8 card rigs, and they're around 1280 to 1320 watts on 8 cards with nearly 15,500 hash. Okay, so this is very important for your power consumption. All right, so going back to this number 001, 002, if we want to add this Powerplay table to the correct location, we're going to have to edit this number. Okay, so let's go ahead and build the Powerplay table. Don't want to restart right now. Obviously trying to push an update. All right, so we're going to go ahead and edit this and change this to 1 so it matches this number here. All right, so that's where we're going to add the Powerplay table to. All right, and what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to put this on my desktop. You can put it wherever you want. I'm going to put Powerplay. All right. All right. So, very important here. Very key. All right. So we're going to do save as after we put the 1 there. Save as. And you see it automatically brings up downloads. I'm going to go ahead and go back to desktop. And now I have that Powerplay table folder. Okay, Powerplay folder. All right. So what I want to do is you can edit this how you like, but it's a lot easier for me if I just pull this front string off right here. All right, so I see 1100 megahertz HBM at 905 millivolt dot reg. All right, this is very important. Dot reg. If you do not have the dot reg, you will not be able to add this. It's going to save it as a text file. So you're going to have to put on after the MV instead of TXT or whatever tag it has. You need to type in .reg and make sure it says save as type all files. Now if you click save, open it up, you see it says registry entries. Okay, so it did save it as a registry entry. All right, so there's 1. So I simply change this to 2 to add this registry file to 2, or the second location. I'm going to do the same thing, file, save as. As you can see here, it came up 1100 HBM at 905 MV. All files. And you can see here, if I were to save it right now, it would save it automatically as a text file. We don't want that. So make sure you add the .reg and click save. Oh, my mistake. Something that I should have done on the first time, and you can edit this however you want. I'm going to go ahead and put 1 in there, and I'm going to put 2 in here so I don't save over the same one. So save. All right, so I can go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to open up my Powerplay. And this is good. So I made a mistake, and easy enough to do. I want to go ahead and show you what I've done. I'm not going to click on this, left click on this right now, but I'm going to hit right click on it and click edit. It's going to bring it up in Notepad, and it shows you 001. So that's correct. Now I'm going to open this one, edit it, and it's 002, which is correct, but apparently before, when I put 2 in, as I told you not to do, I did myself, and I did not put .reg. So we're going to have to go back and resave that. All right, so all files, and now I'm going to do .reg. Click save. All right, now as you can see, now there's a registry edit file and a text file. All right, so we don't need that text file. That's just a mistake. We'll get rid of it. All right, so here are the 2 registry settings. We want to go ahead and plop those into 1 and 2. Okay. So all you need to do now, and again, guys, if you have Powerplay tables for, or you need to build Powerplay tables for 8 cards or 13 cards or whatever you're doing, 4 cards, I find it easier to go in and edit each one of the files, save it as the registry number that I want to remember it needs to go into, and then I have multiple files, and I simply click each one of them one at a time until they're placed in the destination that I wish them to go in. So I'm just going to left click twice, that, press yes. Now it's basically warning me saying I'm messing with the registry. I can mess up Windows, blah, blah, blah. It's true. We don't want to mess it up. We've been very careful so far not to mess it up. So we're going to say yes. And it says the keys and values contained in this file location, this file, have been successfully added to the registry. Okay. As you can see in the background, you saw it blink. That's because the file was added to the location that we're currently clicked into. Okay. So now for the second one, the second card, yes, yes, okay. Now we can close this out for now. And now we want to make sure 2 things. I want to go back and make sure that my registry ticks that I went from 1 to 0 are still showing 0. Make sure that I didn't miss anything or mess up. Okay, that looks good. 0 and 0. Now I'm going to scroll down to the P's. And here we go. PHM Soft Powerplay Table, B602. If you see that, that means the Powerplay table has been added to the correct registry space. Now let's check the second card. All right. Enable Crossfire, enable ULPS, 00. Scroll down. B602. Soft Powerplay table. So we are good. That is all we have to do in the registry. The two settings that we need to change from a 1 to a 0 and add the Powerplay table. Guys, you do not have to add Powerplay tables. With these RX Vegas, especially with the high TDP, This is an absolute lifesaver. I can run an entire rig, 8-card rig, on one power supply if I'd like, at only 1300 watts. So it's well worth it if you want to experiment and run it without, or run it without adjusting the power settings. Be my guest. But you're going to find a lot higher power consumption. A lot. All right. So now we're going to reboot the rig. And I'm going to bounce the rig. And when it comes back up, we will continue. So as I'm bouncing the rig, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and we'll be right back. Okay, so the rig has rebooted. All right, so we are ready to install the other programs. Downloads. So we've already installed that. We've already used that, which is the Powerplay Tables. So let's go ahead and install MSI Afterburner. Now, if you click it a couple times, there it goes. All right, so if you click it a couple times and it throws an error message, just redo it. I don't know if it's a problem with the installer or something else, but every once in a while it might do that. So it's kind of a good thing. I like when teaching for problems to occur, so you, the viewer, can see that you're not the only one with issues. All right, so we're going to click yes. Okay, next, and I'm sure every one of you are going to read every one of these words like I did. So after you do that, that was a joke, click I accept the terms of the license agreement. All right, so you're going to need to install MSI Afterburner Rivatuner Statistics Server. That is a very important part of the MSI program. That's how it gets the statistics from the graphics cards. Okay. All right. So next, and install. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Depending upon your processor, this may be very quick, or it could take a couple of moments. Like I said, this is a cheap 3900 series processor, G3900, so it's a little slower, but it's not too bad. All right, it's showing me that I've already got it installed. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to reinstall it, but all you have to do is click through. It's going to prompt you through, click next, accept, so on, so forth, whatever you have to, and you will get to the point that you need to be at, which is this: run MSI Afterburner and show readme text. I don't need the show readme text. You probably don't either. So I'm going to click finish, and it's going to load. Now you're going to see, because I did not delete the settings when I uninstalled the program, that I already have my old settings here in MSI Afterburner, which is nice for me because I don't have to go back and set them up. But if you're setting this up for the first time, you're not going to see this. You're going to see, you should see 1100 right here. And 1100 is, if you remember and go back, like I clicked it twice. Save contents as 1100 megahertz. You should see, if everything is correct, you should see 1100 megahertz right here. That's the memory clock. If you've got a Vega 56, you will not be able to run it at 1100. Granted, if you have a BIOS mod, which we can talk about later, if you have a BIOS mod, and BIOS flash it to a Vega 64 BIOS, then maybe you're going to be able to run near 1100. Again, we are adjusting from this Powerplay table. The Powerplay table basically just gives us a good starting point, and it also helps us underclock the cards. As you can see here with the Powerplay table, I've already got a negative 28 as the power limit. So the MSI Afterburner is reading whatever the card is supposed to be doing, and it's already got a negative 28 in here. That's because this Powerplay table that we just added is giving the card those settings. All right, so we're going to come back to MSI Afterburner. Let me go ahead and minimize that. Cast XMR. I'm going to double click it. And there's two files here, guys. Two files. So we're going to copy, in my situation. If you want to put them somewhere different, hey, that's completely up to you. But we're going to put them, I like putting them on my desktop. All right, so let's try to click and drag them to the desktop again. Oh, apparently they were already there. All right, so I'm going to close this out. See here, cast XMR in the run.bat file. Okay, batch file. It's a .bat is the extension. All right, so the one that we're going to be concerned with here is the run file. Now let me slow down. So far, let's kind of do a synopsis of what we've done thus far. All right, so we have loaded the AMD drivers. We have applied the Powerplay table to the registry and edited the registry, the two settings within the registry. We've added the overclock and undervolt program, MSI Afterburner, and now we have the miner program, which is cast XMR, downloaded, extracted, and put onto our desktop. So we're almost ready to mine, guys. There's just a couple more steps, and this is where we're at. Okay, so let's right click. Well, okay, now they're not. If you've still got both of them highlighted, it won't let you do that. So click over here and then click back in here, right click, and click edit. All right, I'm glad it did this. Another issue. You might see this. Run.bat. So basically, Windows Defender is saying, oh, I don't like this. This could be an executable file. This could be something that could damage your computer. We know this program is not malicious, so I'm going to click Run anyway. All right. So one way we're going to get around Windows Defender doing that, we're going to type in Windows. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this one-handed. Windows Defender settings. All right, open up Windows Defender Security Center. Now, I have noticed that this particular rig has had all of the latest updates from Windows, so there has been a feature set change. So your menu may look a little bit different if you have not updated to the latest version like I have. So what you're looking for is Windows Defender Security Settings. All right, you can just type that in the search bar and it will pull up. So we're going to click that. All right. So virus and threat protection. I'm going to double click that, left click. All right. So this is a little different. This is different than the last time I've looked at it. All right. So we're going to go to virus and threat protection settings. All right. And the reason why it caught that program is because it's got real-time protection turned on. You can go ahead and toggle this thing off, but it's not going to do anything because as soon as you reboot the computer, it's going to re-enable this by itself, and there's nothing you can do. It's a issue with Windows. Go ahead and leave it on. It's not hurting anything. It's providing me so much protection from Windows. Cloud delivery protection. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that. I don't want Windows to look inside my computer any more than they already are. So I'm not going to invite them in. I don't want to send them a sample either. I'm going to dismiss that message. What we're going to do is go down to exclusions. Add or remove exclusions. So as you can see, now this is a new, I'm going to go ahead and remove these. As you can see, I already have some exclusions set up, but that is for the old files. And I did not remove the exclusions from the last time. As I said, I had already had this stuff loaded. But you're going to have no exclusions if you haven't done this before. But you're going to put add an exclusion, left click on the plus sign, and then I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to go to the location of the file, which is my desktop, and it's a Windows batch file, and double left click it. Okay, so now next time I open this, it should be excluded from Windows Defender, warning me that I'm about to get hacked. Okay, so I'm going to add another exclusion, and I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to do the cast XMR program itself, the application. Yes. All right, there they are. So it should not mess with me anymore. If it does, there are some additional ways to get around it. I won't go into it right here because this is 99% of the time this will fix your issue. But if you have any issues with this, just in the comments below, let me know and I'll try to answer your questions. All right, so I'm going to close that out. Close that out. All right, so back at our notepad. Now, it's very important at this point that you do not double left click this, which is your normal mouse click hit, because that would launch the miner. We're not ready to launch it yet, okay? There's a couple things that we want to look at here. Let's go ahead and maximize this. All right, very simple, guys. Excuse me. The cast XMR Vega -- algo equals 1. I'll explain that in just a moment. -S is for the pool. All of these spaces are very important. All of the dashes, all of the punctuation, everything is very important. So we want to make sure that we do not disturb the spacing or anything else. But the things that we are going to adjust is the pool that we want to mine to, and the port number. And then, as you see, -U is the username. That, my friends, is your wallet address. Okay? So remember how I said copy and paste your wallet information or your public wallet address to a text file? This is where we're going to need it. So we're going to close this down. Just minimize it for now. All right, so I'm going to bring up my wallet address. This is what I created earlier. This is your public address, public facing address on your individual coin. Again, this is Graft. Insert XMR wallet address, insert ETN, Bytecoin, or any other Monero or Monero fork wallet address here. So we're going to copy it, and we're going to go ahead and open this back up, and we're going to paste our address over this. All right, under -u for user. All right, so for the next thing, we're going to open up a browser, and we're going to go to the insert pool of your choice. I am using HashVault. I like their interface. I have very little issues with downtime. It's been a very solid pool. You can use whatever pool that you're used to, or that you've done research on, or anything else. This is just my particular preference. Yours may be different, but we're going to go to HashVault. Sorry, one-handed here. Graft. And I'm going to click on this. And if you're using HashVault, you can actually click on more coins here and see Aeon, Sumokoin, Karbo, Electroneum, all these Stellite, Haven, all these other coins. Okay, if you click on there, all your Monero instructions are here, or whatever other coin you want. We're going to go ahead and close that out. All right, we're going to go to ports. So click ports, and this is going to give us our address. So we're going to click and drag and highlight it, copy it, go back to our file here, and we right here make sure you don't mess up any of the spacing, semicolon, port, or anything like that quite yet. We're going to paste. Now you see pool.graph.hashvault.pro. Now, one more thing for this. Oh, double clicked, meant to one click. All right. So the port numbers, let's talk about that for a minute. Port numbers are important for a starting difficulty. Now your difficulty while the miner runs is going to adjust based upon your submission rate. You can see here that it's showing how many miners are connected on various ports to this particular pool. All right, so 443 is SSL. This would be basically an encrypted session. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of what all these different ports mean. This is unencrypted port 80, port 5555, port 7777, and port 333. Those are the ones that we're going to be looking at here. All right. There are some advantages to running port 443. Some people have noted issues. If you have issues, there's plenty of help threads online. You can leave a question in the comments below if you'd like. But basically what this does, if you look at the difficulty here, the starting difficulty, that means when the miner starts, it's going to submit at a difficulty of 50,000. Port 3333 is submitting at a starting difficulty of 20,000. You can see 7777 is a lot higher. All right, so the reason why this matters is if I have just a CPU that I'm mining with, the starting difficulty has to be at a level to where the CPU can deal with that level of difficulty. If I have a CPU and I put in port 7777, you're going to immediately see that the miner is going to take a long time to get started, and it will take forever to submit the first share. Now, with that being said, my particular setup with Vega cards, your 470s, 480s, they will do good with 5555 as a starting point. If I put in 3333, a lot of times what you'll see is the submitted shares go really, really high, really, really fast. And on some pools, I haven't seen it on this particular pool, this hash vault pool, but on some pools, you can actually get booted very, very quickly from the server if you submit shares at too fast of a rate. Kind of like a denial of service. So I want to use 5555 or 7777. Now, excuse me, as I said, there is some advantages to using different ports, but for what we're doing and for this class, we're going to use 5555. Okay? So I can either copy and paste this, or I can go back to the file and just type it in. So right here, I want to type in 5555. All right. So after we type this in, there's going to be a couple more things that we need to do to actually get this configurable executable file to run the CastXMR Miner. So we're going to want to click right here, right before the percent sign. So there's a space here. We're going to hit -G and then 0,1 space. Alright, so the reason why we did that was to let the miner know that there's two cards that it needs to look for and two cards that are going to mine. So 0 would be the first card and 1 would be the second card. So -G 0,1. If you had 4 cards, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So on and so forth. If you had 8, it would be 0 through 7. Alright? So in my particular pool, I'm going to add a -P for a password. Now, so when I say password, that simply means the identifier that I'm going to use that's going to show up on this mining pool. For this, we're going to say YouTube. Need to make sure I have the -P space. And I want to make sure I just have one space here. Alright. So -P YouTube. -G 0,1. So technically, guys, this would run as is. Now, we're going to adjust some of these settings. Algo equals 1. That does not have to be there. This would automatically pick the algorithm that it's supposed to pick, but this forces the algo. If you look at Gandalf 3000's website, you will see that he has a description of what all of these extra pieces in here do. So there's Rate Watchdog. Like I said, you don't have to have this. There's additional settings that you can put in here. Just go on Gandalf's website and scroll down, and you can see all the additional features that he's added. Technically, it would run right now, but we're going to add one more thing. We're going to add Fast Job Switch. Now, this is a neat little thing. Rate Watchdog is another neat one. I had some issues with one of my miners with it. I'm still experimenting with it. So, Fast Job Switch. Let's go ahead and type it in. Fast Job Switch is going to change the job that the miner is currently working on in case it becomes outdated, so you're not wasting hash power and cycles on a job that has already been completed by another miner or has already been submitted to the pool. This helps out a little bit. I've seen a few percent increase over not using this feature. But that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure you have all your spaces in. Let's go ahead and look at Gandalf's website. If you scroll down, you can see a how-to section, and it describes what each one of those features mean. Algo equals 1 is for CryptoNight V7, which this particular coin, you can look down through here and see through some of the older versions. Rate Watchdog does say experimental. Some people have had great success with it. I, on the other hand, have not, but I haven't tested it a whole lot. This is Fast Job Switch. It explains what the feature does. It changes to a new job within less than 100 milliseconds, so you're not wasting hash power. Alright, so we're going to save. Very important. Alright, so after we've saved the file, we're going to close it out, and we're going to bring up our MSI Afterburner. Alright, so this is where you're going to have to adjust your settings. And unfortunately, I cannot tell you what your exact settings will need to be. That will be based upon the cards that you use, what type, and whether you hit the silicone lottery or not. For these two particular cards, I've got two cards here. If you click on GPU, you can see the two cards. As you can see, one of my cards will only run at 935 megahertz, where the other will run at 950 megahertz on the memory clock. And that is based upon my trial and error in figuring out that this card is just a little lame. It doesn't quite hold up to what the other card does. Now, there's plenty of guides online. You can ask for recommendations from me if you'd like, or you can go in just in a Google search, type in what kind of card you have and what other people are using for their settings. That's going to be a good guideline, but you may have to change this. You can either use the slider here, or you can click on it and type in exactly what you want, and then press enter. And then always remember to click this, and when you're done, you want to click save. Now, you can save to a profile, You can make multiple profiles, but because I've only got 2 cards here, because this is a dedicated miner, I'm not doing anything else with it. I'm going to go ahead and click Profile 1, and it shows that it's saved. Okay. I'm also going to come over here and click the Windows Startup. Okay. So that means it applies the settings when you start Windows up. One other thing that we want to do here, we want to make sure that we have an MSI Afterburner shortcut put in our startup folder. Windows 10, click down here, or you can just click the Windows button on the bottom of your keyboard in conjunction with the R button. And you can see here the string shell : startup. Okay. And here you see MSI Afterburner. There's already a shortcut because, like I said, I already had this installed. You would need to right click this, send to desktop to create an additional shortcut, or you could just place this whole thing over there if you're not worried about seeing it on the desktop. You want to do one other thing. You want to make sure under Properties, go to Advanced, and you want to make sure it's Run as Administrator. Okay? Press OK. OK. Now I can close this out. So next time Windows starts, it will automatically apply the settings that I've put in here. As you can see, I have the power limit. I have the maximum temperature that I want the card to run at. This is a lock button, so if you change the power limit, it will alter the temperature as well. You want to unclick that so it's not constrained to whatever the presets are. I got 75 there now. Press OK. So that needs to be unlinked. Other thing that I want to show you, if you want to lock this, you can lock the profile. Unlock the profile. Other thing I want to show you is these cards are not synchronized. If you have 2 or 3 cards that will run at the exact same settings, you can click this and see now the cards are synchronized in their settings. Okay? I don't want to do that because I've got 2 different cards that run at 2 different setting values. So I want to click this to where it's unsynchronized. All right? So I'm going to press OK or check. And then I'm going to look at this other card. See, that one's just a hair off. I want to set that at 75. Say yes. All right. So close that. Save the profile again just to make sure. If you want to change the fan settings, I've got a fairly aggressive ramp. You can click Enable, User Defined Software, Automatic Fan Control under the Fan tab, and it will bring up a profile. And you can adjust the fan speed for the temperature of the card. As the temperature of the card goes up, you want the fan to run faster, obviously. You can adjust this to your liking. This seems to work very, very well. My cards sit outside. They're not in air conditioning. It can be 85 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the shed, and I run about anywhere between 55 and 65 Celsius. So I can adjust that by clicking on this and bringing it up or down at these various markers. You can probably figure out the rest yourself. Okay, you might notice that the screen looks a little bit different than just a few seconds ago. It's because I actually had to reload Windows on this box and start over. So I neglected to pause updates, which I normally do on Windows 10 rigs, due to the issues that could possibly happen, like what did. So my rig had updated prior to starting this video, had updated to the latest version of Windows. I believe it's 1806, and the previous version was 1709. So no matter what I did, the miners would not work. I tried XMR Stack and Cast XMR, and they would not recognize the cards. I reloaded the drivers, did all sorts of everything that I could think of, really, to make it work, and nothing would work. So I actually had to reload Windows and pause the updates immediately so that it could not update to the latest version. If you run into this, the only thing that you're probably going to be able to do, hopefully this is a mining rig that you're doing this on, a dedicated mining rig, is reload Windows and start from scratch. Now I basically just saved everything that I needed over to a thumb drive and then reloaded Windows, paused updates, and put my programs back into the respective spots that they needed to be in. All right, with that said, there's one more thing that I want to go over with you. And this is more when I was doing mining with XMR Stack, virtual memory. Some of these mining programs can use a lot of virtual memory, and if you don't add to the size of the virtual memory, you may have issues with your miner. I have not run into this issue with Cast XMR, but because I do not know if I'm going to continue to run this program, I want to go ahead and fix this issue before it pops up. All right, so what I'm going to do is type in performance, and as you can see here, go down to adjust the appearance and performance of Windows. Now I've already done this. It's going to show you, let Windows choose what's best for my computer. I click adjust for best performance, and then I go ahead and just click these two on, and these two only. Advanced. So if you go down here, you see that I have 80,000 megabytes. Go to change. Originally, when the computers was first built, or I reloaded the operating system, it would show automatic manage page file system for all drives. So what you need to do is click here on custom size, uncheck this first, click it, uncheck it, and then click on custom size here. And you want to put, for the amount of cards that you have, there are guides online that tell you the exact amount that that the programs will require. But because this is a dedicated miner, I have a 120 gig hard drive, or SSD. Because I have that much space, I can actually do, for an 8-card rig, which I still have to add the other 6 cards to this machine, but I can actually I could actually put this at a lower value right now, but I'm going to go ahead and set it for what I want the machine to have, so I can just add the cards easily. So I do, as a general rule of thumb, and this is overkill, trust me, this is overkill, but I do 10,000 per card, so that leaves me at 80,000. Now when you get done with this, if you type in, say you have a 6-card system, you type in 60,000, 60,000, always hit set. Make sure you hit set, OK, and if the apply button comes up here, make sure you click apply before you click OK. Alright, so at this point we're essentially ready to mine. Make sure that your Cast XMR program and the run.bat program are in the same location as each other. Otherwise, it won't work. So make sure, whether you've got it in your documents folder or on your desktop, make sure that they are in the same location. Now, to start the miner, all we need to do is double left click. And there we go. We're off. So this secondary window that opens in the background, that's basically just what your run.bat file says. So we can go ahead and close that out. It's not hurting anything. And what I want to do is go ahead and look at our pool. So what I'm going to do is open this up. I'm going to copy our wallet address. I'm going to close that out. All right, so I've let this run for a few minutes, so hopefully we get some statistics on the pool. It doesn't update very, very quickly, so we have to wait some time. So let's go ahead and open up a web browser. And we're going to go to the pool that we're mining to, which happens to be HashVault. It's HashVault Graft. We're going to click on it. And then we're going to go to Dashboard. And then put in our address here. Paste. And then Track Live Stats. Here we go. So you can see I've started and stopped the miner a couple times. There is our worker name that we saw earlier, YouTube. And you can see that we are now mining. So just in a little bit of time that I've been running, and it hasn't been running long enough to get a good solid average, but it's already saying an estimate of $3.66 a day on 2 Vega 56s, which that does get a little higher. That's going to be a few bucks a day on those 2 cards. So not a bad algorithm to start mining right now. But as I said, you can use this tutorial for any XMR or any XMR forked coin out there. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more. But if this helped you, if you have any questions, whatever, please leave some comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and be on the lookout for more educational material and mining videos and tutorials and tips. See you guys next time. Thanks.